Hi everyone, it's me, Eartha. I have a story or something that happened a few days ago. As I was driving back to my home and drove up the driveway, I saw my family in the garage and they were gathered around the window in the garage. And I was wondering, what were they looking at? So I didn't enter the garage because everybody was focused on something. Stopped the car, got out, and they said there was a bird that had flown into the garage. And when they said that, I saw the bird, fluttering up and down the glass. And it looked like it was pretty tired. It stopped a few moments and kind of rested on some artificial flowers that I had in the garage, or have in the garage. Big white blossoms. And then it fluttered again, and my family was talking to the bird. Come here, little bird. And, I had the sense that the bird felt cornered because it felt like it couldn't fly out towards the open garage until I suggested that they back away. And after a few minutes, it just seemed like the bird went from one window to another window to another window. I just had the thought as to, here we have a bird and they can navigate all over the skies, and yet it couldn't find its way out this big garage door. Probably because it had fear and it is trying to escape the source of its fear. So I told my daughter, I'm going to go around to the window on the other side, and so to stay away from the window in the garage. I went around to the outside of the window of the garage. I saw the bird fluttering up and down. It saw me, and it flew out of the garage. And I wondered how fear can drive us as creatures. Do we do things like that with birds? And my question is, how can a bird who navigates the skies not find their way out? Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. Thank you for joining me. Well, today we're going to talk about something I think sometime in our life we all do. And I know that is a very broad and general statement, but I'm going to take my chances and put it out there that sometime in our life, we have all maybe looked forward to something, doing something, a big experience. Maybe it was like going to a concert or a big event like a wedding or a vacation to some place that you've never been before. And then, when you go and the event is over, you have this feeling, it's like, wow, that was really exciting. And it brought a lot of happiness, but now it's over. Or maybe it was a big purchase, a major purpose. Maybe it was your first house or your first car, or getting a graduation, a degree, or completing a major project, and you felt like, wow, I'm so happy, I'm so excited. And then when it's over, you look back and, it just, you were happy, but maybe in your mind, if you honestly revisited that event, you could say it was happy, but maybe it kind of fell a little bit short on what you had imagined or you expected. And so that is called impact bias. And most people go through it. I think it's just a part of our processing of different events. With that impact bias, what happens is they have an example. If someone wins the lottery, a lot of people are into, getting one of the big lotteries. And, there's this vision in a person's brain maybe, or a thought that once I win that lottery, I'm going to be so happy and do all these things. However, research has indicated that people usually go back to the way they, or their baseline level of happiness. And so the money really didn't fulfill that happiness. Although, of course, in our society, in our life, we need monetary provisions. However, it doesn't satisfy, or it doesn't bring us happiness. And I'm not going to talk about, what is happiness, because happiness means many things to many people. But I would like to visit something as far as impact bias, that when our expectation is not met, it's almost like that bird story. We have this bird, and so I researched, why can a bird that navigates the sky can't find their way out of a garage? And what the research shows is that usually when birds fly into a garage, there's a purpose. They usually just don't haphazardly just go into your garage or my garage. They're usually either searching for food, or they want to build a nest, or if there's windows in the garage, they're trying to get to the other side. And so they see the window as a way, if they fly down and go through that window, they can get to the other side. And I can see that when the bird flew into our garage. I had, as I had mentioned in the story at the beginning, I have some artificial flowers in there, and I know in the animation the flower was yellow because I couldn't find any white flowers. But anyway, I could see how the brightness of the flower in my garage attracted that bird. And right next to the flower is a window. And so the bird was fluttering up and down the window. And as my family was there attempting to show compassion to the bird was getting more confused. It was getting more afraid. And it felt threatened because it went from one window to another window. Then it fell down onto the window ledge, and it would come back up. And, stepping away from the bird helped the bird calm down. And we really wanted to get the bird out of the garage for many different reasons. And so the topic is how that bird thought that there was something better for it in the garage was the driving force. And when it found that its expectation was not met, that impact bias, it wanted to get out, but it couldn't. And so that was my question. We go to some big event, we have expectations in our mind, and that expectation isn't met, we are happy for a second or for a few days on a vacation, and then we get back to our life. And sometimes what happens is we go through this, it's called hedonic adaptation, and this is where we kind of adapt to that new level of, it could be a happy event or a negative event. We kind of adapt to that level. And so, for example, let's say if the bird was not able to get out, and maybe it was looking for a nesting place, well, the bird would stay in there and build a nest and have its babies, and it adapted to a new environment. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the hedonic adaptation. And the information I'm going to share is from a video I saw by Dr. Lori Santos, how we can deal with hedonic adaptation, a science of well-being for teens. And so what she mentioned in her video is that we use hedonic adaptation for material stuff. We get used to it, and then we don't even pay attention to it. It becomes like wallpaper. At first when you put it up, it's so beautiful, and then after a while you don't even pay attention to it. That's my example. Her example was like a new car. We're getting a new car, we're so excited, a new vehicle, and after a while, we don't pay attention to it. Another time is when we are happy over new experiences. We have an experience of maybe a vacation, or going to the movies, or going to a museum, or some kind of event. And although that event is over a few hours or a few days or maybe a few weeks, what it creates are positive memories. And so how do we maybe get more out of the hedonic adaptation, because this is part of our human life and existence? Because this hedonic adaptation can also be on the negative side. Getting an event that causes some kind of negative effect, and so we adapt into that negative experience, a negative lifestyle. Well, she gave a few tips. Is to maybe invest and pay attention to our experiences more than our things. And so when we have experiences, to use, like, maybe pay attention and savor mindfully our experiences and creating positive memories. When we have things, to step back and be aware of what would happen if I didn't have this thing. What would happen if I didn't have this car? And another tip she shared was a negative visualization. So this is kind of like an imagery exercise in that, imagine our cell phones crashed for some reason, and we are thinking, the cell phone is dead, is crashed. We've lost all our contacts. We've lost all of our resources. And then after a few minutes, realize, well, your cell phone is perfectly fine. And so it grows a positive from that negative visualization, it grows a positive appreciation for that thing, which is a cell phone. That, wow, I'm really thankful that, my cell phone is working, or my computer is working, or I'm so happy that my car is functioning, it's not in the shop. And so it helps us to grow an appreciation for the things that we do have, and not so much accumulate more things. To accumulate more things, again, it grows us into a hedonic adaptation, and we get used to that. However, if we become mindful in our experiences and create positive memories from those experiences, from our family, from our friends, from our vacations, then we don't get so accustomed to the level of happiness, so to speak, because once you reach a certain level, you think you need to go and have more toys, you have to have more materialistic things, you have to have bigger vacations. But if we could appreciate just the small things that we have, and what would happen if we didn't have those small things? And so one of the suggestions, as far as going back to the impact bias from the beginning, is maybe to be aware of faulty forecasting, and maybe keeping our expectations a little bit more realistic. I think about the bird, and the bird is a creature. What that bird experienced was, just because it saw that flower, it had to go in a certain area, and then it wound up being a fake flower. And the bird experienced all kinds of anxieties and frustrations and fears. It felt like it was trapped. It felt like its freedom was being taken away from it. But how about if that bird did a mindfulness practice and kind of thought and reflected on the blue skies and to appreciate the freedom it had? Maybe it could have avoided getting stuck in the garage. And I'm so happy the bird got out and flew away and is appreciating now its freedom. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.